Hi everyone, thank you and welcome back. Not necessarily a magic video now. I just feel I need to have a bit of explanation as to how this magic thing all started. So it's kind of born out of something quite happy really. You see, last year I became a father for the first time, which was absolutely fantastic. But the circumstances in and around which my daughter was born were a bit strange. You see, she was born 6 weeks premature. I was actually working away at the time on a job. Rushed home because we just had a standard scan, and yeah, my wife wasn't let out of the hospital. The last thing I saw of her of that day was she got carted off in an ambulance. About midnight. Cut a long story short, my daughter was delivered in Basingstoke Hospital 2 days later. Now, again, that sounds like why'd that be a terrible thing? I've got to be honest, I wasn't ready for it. There's a lot of responsibility, and as anyone will tell you, becoming a parent for the first time. And yeah, it just kind of hit me, and I just had to react, and yeah, so I mean, it all went well. She's absolutely fine, so no worries there. But at the time, it was I was still getting my head around the fact that I've created life, as it were, which is an amazing thing. But straight after the operation, her delivery, if you will, my wife they had a complication, and I got ushered away from her bedside by an absolute cavalcade of doctors. Because I was in the middle of Basingstoke, I didn't have any friends there. Our local hospital was Southampton, and that was the neonatal unit there was full. So we had to, they had to find us an alternative hospital, if you will. The problem I found with it was getting ushered away. I mean, I couldn't go see the little one in neonatal. I couldn't be by my wife because I was ushered away. I had this horrible feeling that I just got my head around my little family going from a two to a three. Now, if what happened was something wrong with my wife and what happened wrong with the baby, then I'd got to get my head around from being a three to a one. Now, that's a very, very dark place to go into. But that was kind of it. It just kind of caught you unawares, and I mean, becoming a parent for the first time, as any new parent will tell you, is not easy. It's tricky. There's lots of things you have to change your entire lifestyle, which we were totally prepared for, and I couldn't be happier. But it was, for me, it may sound quite tame, but it was quite a traumatic experience, which I do find hard talking about at times, but that's why I'm kind of talking to a camera, because yeah, it's an inanimate object. But anyways, the problem started arising was paternity leave. You only get 2 weeks. Now, if the baby's in the hospital for 4 weeks, how does that work? And there's a number of factors for it. I kind of was coerced to go back into work before I was really ready, if I'm honest. Psychologically, I was actually struggling, but I mean, my wife had been through the absolute ringer, so I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be that support pillar for her. And while on the outside, I feel I fulfilled that role. On the inside, I was really, really struggling. I just, with a newborn, you don't get a lot of sleep. When we finally brought her home, and then it was sort of like, all right, you brought her home, you've got to come back into work. And I was like, at the time, I feel that my place of work could have supported me a little better. I mean, it's water under the bridge now, but this is kind of where the problems really started. You see, I've always been quite self-assured of myself, and always had, I've always been taught to, believe in yourself. And the problem I was having all of a sudden was I was doubting myself, like really doubting myself. I'd sit there and I'd think, I can't do my job anymore. I'm out of my depth. I'm not anymore. And I used to get quite claustrophobic about it. I used to sit there, I feel dizzy, I'd have headaches over it. I just wasn't sleeping at all. And then it kind of came to a bit of a head around about November 2018. I had to go travelling, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't. All I could think about was little one, and that's when I kind of came to the realization after talking to a couple of friends that I actually suffer from anxiety. The panic attacks were totally out of character for me. I'd never really experienced them before. I'd never really panicked before. But yeah, I was getting dizzy. I was getting migraines. You know, I couldn't deal with bright lights, and the self-doubt was creeping in here, and I was like, I can't handle this. You know, I can't. I was struggling to deal with it. I remember speaking to a friend, and I mean, one of the factors of the fact that I wasn't sleeping was she was saying to me, working with computers all the time and coming home and going straight on like Xbox. I have too much blue light. You know, I have too much stuff that really keeps me awake and I cannot switch off anymore. So I needed something which I didn't need a screen for. So that's where the magic comes from, or that's where I started learning magic. I've always had an interest in magic. A couple of friends were actually very supportive over the fact that all of a sudden I was buying cards. Look at that. That's insane. There's a lot there, but I started watching quite a few things on YouTube. I started watching Chris Ramsey, and through his channel, I kind of got introduced into the world of kind of magic tutorials. So like, massive fan of like Daniel Madison, Alex Pandrea, Xavier Spade. I mean, the four of those guys have just, they've absolutely captivated me. And it's from someone who couldn't shuffle this time last year. I could certainly fool a 6-year-old. I mean, and that's no massive achievement there at all. But the feeling that you get when you pull off a trick, pull off a move, and they have no idea how you did it, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, I know how it's done, so I'm not impressed by it. And then I'm like, you know what? I now appreciate the craft. I mean, I've always, even as a kid, I absolutely loved magic. I love watching my dad used to tape like David Copperfield. We had Paul Daniels in this country, of course. In recent times, we've got Dynamo. Absolutely brilliant, fantastic entertainment. And I mean, I'm not going to be that. I mean, I wouldn't even call myself a magician. I'm very straight up to say I am not a magician, but I am an enthusiast. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, I've got a bit of literature which I've been kind of reading up on stuff of how to do some stuff. I mean, to be honest, this one, like, I can't do this. I can do a few, which is better than nothing. I mean, again, I'm not out there to do any gigs or anything. I don't actually intend on performing, but it's part of me thought that one day when my daughter's older, she'll appreciate it. So anyway, that was kind of where the magic came from. I don't want to go yamming on, and I'm aware that I'm kind of encroaching on the 10-minute mark now, which is a long time for someone to just sit there and talk. I mean, I'm sorry if you thought this was going to be a tutorial. This is kind of me being candid about why all of a sudden that basically the computer geek who used to sit there playing video games all of a sudden picked up a deck of cards one day and tried to do stuff with it. Well, that's why. So it was born out of something amazing, which turned sad at the same time, and the clash of that basically broke this. And the way I've tried to deal with anxiety attacks, with panic attacks, is fidgeting. I fidget with cards. I fidget. I do I just do the moves. I'm not performing for anyone. I just do it, and it calms me down. It gives me something to focus on. It says, instead of, the one problem with anxiety is you become very insular and you kind of focus on something that's probably never going to happen. I don't know if that's fair to say. Everyone's anxiety is different, and you know, it's good in this modern era that we do have a lot more awareness for mental health issues. I mean, it's only that talking through it do I realise that a lot of people close to me, a lot of friends themselves, have had anxiety issues, and the fact of the matter is number one is you're not alone. You really are not alone. And number two, the important thing, and I kind of stress this enough, is to talk about it. My biggest problem, which I recognise now, was back when it was all going a bit wrong, was I didn't talk to anyone. I literally took it all aboard. And the problem was it was asking for help. There's no shame in asking for help. I mean, I did actually try and ask for help, and I did try and explain. Some people I do find who've never experienced anxiety themselves don't really get it. They don't really get. I mean, like with mental health stuff, it was like, you know, if you've seen someone really affected by it, you kind of get it. If you've actually somehow managed to go through some halcyon life without meeting someone who's ever had a mental health issue, well, good for you first and foremost. But you always be mindful and be nice to each other, because you don't know what's going on with some people, and you know, and that's the problem with assumption. But yeah, it does feel quite good that I feel I've got this off my chest. And if you're still listening, thank you very much for being that anonymous an anonymous shoulder to cry on. I mean, I'm not going to cry or nothing, but I mean, the catharsis is great, that I am now feeling free enough that I can talk about it, and why all of a sudden I seem to have bought a lot of playing cards. But yeah, again, if you got this far, thank you for basically the free counselling session. But I owe you one. Thank you very much. It does feel good to actually talk about it. I know you're probably thinking, Liam, why the hell are you putting such private things on YouTube? Because, well, I haven't gone into the gory details of it. I haven't gone into too much, but I've just gone into the kind of the gist of it. But you know, that's where this obsession with playing cards has come from. But it's been good. 2019. I mean, look at this. This is the first magic video I ever put up on Instagram, and I'm just terrible. Basically, I didn't really understand it. It was I mean, it's typical of me trying to basically, you know, kind of run before you can walk. But you know, I don't know what I'm doing here. It's pretty cringe, actually. It just looks like a drunk uncle who basically found a pack of cards and tried to impress the kids, and it's kind of naff. And then I thought, you know, trying to learn it the proper way. I mean, I say the proper way. I mean, one of the ridiculous things is, which I didn't realise, is if you hold a deck of cards, naturally speaking, I don't know if it's from playing top trumps, I do that. But the problem is I'm right-handed. That's a left-handed deal. I've accidentally taught myself magic back to front. I do things left-handed. Now that is a flipping problem, because all the books are for righties, which is ironic because I'm very, very right-handed. I can't do things left-handed. I have basically accidentally, you know, taught myself to do things with the opposite hand. But I've come this far now. Do I relearn? Probably not, because it's comfortable and I've kind of got muscle memory now. So to start again would be like resetting the entire 2019. Yeah, but sorry, I'm not going to do that. Chris Ramsey always says, don't be that guy who sits there doing that. So you know, I'm going to put these down. I heed your warning, sir. I think that's kind of what I just wanted to say. I mean, it's a bit weird to basically have this book ending or in the middle of lots of my magic uploads, because, you know, I am very, very proud of what I've achieved. I'm very, very proud of what I can do now, considering I was a complete and utter novice 12 months ago. So, you know, if anything I do puts a smile on somebody's face, and as far as I'm concerned, it was worth it. You know, even if that person was my face. So, yeah, it's been an interesting year, but it's been something. I mean, the hardest. They all say the hardest thing with when you have a problem is recognizing that you have a problem in the first place, and I'm pretty glad that I identified that I wasn't, you know, I wasn't having a nervous breakdown. It was just quite simply, things spiral out of control in your head sometimes, and in my case, I never dealt with it. And the upshot of that was that, yeah, he goes, you know, I still have anxiety now. It still manifests itself when I don't want it to, but I'm learning to live with it, and I think that's the best thing. I mean, yeah, I mean, I had a quick chat with a GP about it, you know, so, you know, I don't want to go down, you know, taking any drugs for it though, but, you know, if it gets any worse, so I'm aware that there are very many skilled counsellors out there, and I'll probably seek their help. So yeah, important thing is, when you've got anxiety, you're not crazy, and frankly, there's so many people out there who suffer from it. I'm actually amazed myself. I didn't realise it, but you know, it's been quite good. There's been so many things on the TV that have drawn my attention to the fact that, you know, mental health isn't something to basically just be an elephant in the room and you just talk about it. And you know, I remember watching Nadia from Bake Off. She did a documentary on anxiety, and that for me really helped, because I mean, first and foremost, I realised it doesn't affect me as severely as some other people, so I guess I got to count myself lucky. But you know, it was a real eye opener for me, that, and yeah, it was kind of what I needed at the time, and for everything else, got me magic. So anyway, again, if you come this far, thank you for, you know, just letting me rant. But I do feel a lot better for it, and it feels a lot good to, you know, talk to friends. You know, always be in a corner for your mate, always. And you know, my mates have done that. You know, I've got some really good friends who have been there to listen to me when I'm just trying to get my head around how life turned out. But you know, it turned out all right, and one day I'll be all right. But for now, I've found myself, you know, a new hobby, started from scratch. You know, it's never really sort of picked up a hobby like that which wasn't holding holding one of these. So thank you for listening again, and I'm actually going to go now. So peace out. Cheers.